Oh, well, seems it never rains in Southern California. Seems I've often heard that kind of talk before. It never rains in California, but girl, don't they warn ya. It pours, man, it pours. YouTube doesn't like it when I sing the song, so there. All right, hey, this tea's been, put on the Fez, okay? This tea's been steeping too long, brewing too long. Greetings, fellow citizens. This is Citizen Kong, and welcome to another Fez Night. Tonight's Fez Night shall be called Fez of One. All right. Okay, here we go. I think this has been brewing way too long. All right. Oops, I forgot the little strainer here. La, 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 la. Well, I hope you've all had a good week. The reason why I was speaking the lyrics to that song, it's funny, when I was a kid, whenever it rained on the local station, they would play, on the AM station, they'd mostly play that song. Or if you're listening to the classic rock station, they would play Riders on the Storm by Jim Morrison and the Doors. And I'm sure some of you who are my age can remember those days, huh? At least Riders on the Storm, right? Okay, so, all right, let's see, what do I need here? A little bit of milk. This is the first time in a while I've made a proper cup with leaf tea. I've been mostly using the tea bags. All right, let's get this show on the road. I really at a loss as to what I'm gonna talk about. One thing about using this webcam, everything's flipped over, so it's kind of like I'm looking in a mirror. Let me grab one thing. So I'll have this ready for later. Another Fez night, off to a rousing start. Somebody sent me a PM, I think his channel's called Little John, and we met a long time ago, but he said, I don't mean to insult you, but are you still doing Fez nights? Yes, I am. Intermittently. I might be a gap there since I got laid off. I haven't been in the mood for it a lot. And but anyway, kind of lost the fire in my belly for some of that politics, but I guess I'm still paying attention. Lost the mood to read the newspaper. Really haven't been in the mood for that lately. But I've got the Sunday paper sitting right here. Maybe I should cancel my subscription, but I'd like to support your local newspapers. The newspaper industry is a dying industry. And the web doesn't have news reporters. Somebody's still got to actually hire news reporters to go out and do the job, professional news reporters. Most news on the internet's coming from somebody. It's coming from NBC News or Associated Press or the BBC. You know, people that are being paid. The New York Times, Los Angeles Times. Anyway, some of you might remember a long time ago, I started Fez Night. The reason for Fez Night was a reason for me, or a way, to thank my new subscribers. And now that I've got this system, I was having problems getting a web connection earlier. We'll see if I lose it or not. If I do, bear with me. But once upon a time, yes, I used Fez Night as a way to thank my new subscribers, mention my new subscribers. That's my featured video. L. Brookman found them, or they found him. And it's a Filipino cover band. They're in the Philippines. And they're really a hoot. And what I'm playing is the remix by Frank of the Mountain that he re-edited the video and made it pretty jazzy. Sorry, I keep messing with this. And did a good job. Well, Brookman asked me, what color do you think that vest is? And you know, the naming of colors is just pretty weird. You know, they'll come up like, you know, there's the hot pink, or, you know, fluorescent day glow orange. Or I thought of a great name, because the names are so bizarre. How about electric black? Anyway, But I thought what would be a good reference is the box of Crayola crayons or Crayola crayons. And I found the closest match I could find on the website I was looking at was Jazzberry Jam. And then we thought, wow, what a great name for them. They haven't responded to any of the comments, so I wonder what they would make of us sort of creating them into a internet meme. Not a big internet meme, but a meme on our side of YouTube, you know, on our little corner, our little pond. Well, okay, getting back to the whole thing at the beginning of Fez Night, I thought I might try a little something where I say hello to people that drop by my channel. Now, even if there's sometimes, look, I don't mean to boast, but my channel can be kind of busy. And one of the reasons I think it's busy is I rarely block anybody unless they really, really take advantage of my hospitality. If they wear out their welcome, they insult the host a little too much, I'll take a little bit of ribbing, that's fine. And even like maybe one insult, as long as it's not racist or something like that, or really, really vulgar. But I try to leave my channel open. There's no like comment approval or anything like that. If somebody leaves something really awful, it'll be there overnight. I've had some friends say, why do you leave that comment there? Well, I'm trying to stick to my policy, but I do make exceptions, you know. Certain people call me a hypocrite, but you know, come on. You know, the exceptions prove the rule. I love that expression. You get in an argument with somebody and they say, oh, it's always this way, it's always that. But then they call you and go, but here, it's not that way. And then I say, that's the exception that proves the rule. Which basically is a play on to every rule has an exception. And it's kind of a weird logic, but I enjoy that. I do enjoy that expression. So getting back to my comments, my comment section on my channel. Sometimes there's some pretty good arguments in there. Lately I tried doing something like sort of writing a short story, which I haven't attempted any writing in a long time, and I was trying to tell a story and sort of take my revenge on some certain people on YouTube by integrating them into the story and not in a not so flattering light. And then my good friend Monk from Monk's Castle was also working on a short story. And Delisa of Delisa Productions posted a bit of a story there, but I found it confusing. And there was one character, she had Monk in the story, and so was his brother Stan. And it was sort of a movie-themed sort of thing, like somebody's a director or somebody, so there's an agent, and there's a godfather. Well, Monk gets on the phone to talk to Riley, whoever Riley is. Well, we know Jim Riley on the YouTube, so that's his character. And then she gets on the phone to talk to her godfather to get some help. And I thought, well, she's obviously integrating somebody into the story, and I made a crack about him. And then she said, oh, no, that's Riley. And I said, well, wait a minute. You know, so I'm probably going to get, well, I did. I got called on being a nitpicker. But even though I was never a professional writer, I used to dabble in it quite a bit. I was part of a writers group. And we would sit in a circle and critique each other's stories. And that was part of the deal of being part of a writers group. And also in my English Lit classes or creative writing classes, you write something, you pass the paper down, they read it. If there's something they find confusing or not clear, or maybe there's an awkward sentence, or, oh, you know, perhaps you should have used this word. I had a English teacher at Loyola. Oh man, I always used to get crushes on my English teachers. The females, of course. I can't think of any. English teachers in my world almost always were women. I can only think of one exception. And that was in junior high, or some call middle school. And what was that? Somebody told me the English one. I can't remember now. My friend over in England, John, who had his channel on YouTube and he closed it. It was primary. I can't think of it. Oh, that totally slipped my mind. Anyway, yeah, they call their middle school something else over there, but I can't think of it. So, yeah, there was just that one. So anyway, this teacher at Loyola, I'll love to use the word trite. You know, if something was too cliche or something that was like, you know, obviously has been said many times before, she would say that's trite. And I'll tell you, that sort of stuff made me a better writer. And not that I'm a great writer, but I've wrote a few papers for school, and I did okay. So, what a boring beginning, awful beginning to Fez Night, isn't it? Oh, don't worry, it'll pick up later. Oh, the other interesting thing is that I am going to try to post this Fez Night all in one piece. So you probably saw Dr. Bender on the Citizen Kong channel. I'm coming to you from the Royal Order of the Fez channel. It's such a pity. The Citizen Kong channel hasn't got that larger format. You know, you can load one continuous video up to 2 gigabytes from what I understand. I can do that on the ROF, but I can't do it on Citizen Kong. I'm all over the place, aren't I? So, yeah, this teacher, yeah, always had crushes on, always had female. Ms. McQuaid, I remember her name, Mrs. Barnett, I believe. Ms. DeCure was the one who used the word trite a lot. And I was also a part of a writer's group. These really nerdy people that were writing science fiction. And at the time, science fiction and fantasy, sci-fi, what's the term they use now? Science, fantasy, SF. They just want to call it SF now. So anyway, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, sometimes there's these bits of these short stories on my page. And I was having fun with that. And I thought it was like kind of a new way to rather than just insulting each other for the really insults, like you know, you're doing that person up the butt, and that person is like teabagging you, or that person, you know, what other dumb stuff, you know. Instead of that, trite, very trite. It's been said many, many ways. And usually the barbs at me is that I'm an ankle biter or a weasel, or I'm somehow effeminate in some way, or subservient. I used to bus tables when I was in high school. And one of the things about me, I don't make a good servant. I'm not good at waiting on people or serving them, or being second banana. That's why I'm pretty much a loner, because you don't have to be second to anyone. Of course, you're nothing being alone, but you know, at least you're not second to somebody. So, I was talking about my channel, like you really care. But I thought I would say hello to some people that have stopped by my channel. Here's a hater channel towards my friend Monk. The Monk's Junk says, "Hi Kong, I came by to dip my donuts in your tea. Thanks for obliging." Well, I think there's some sort of, do you think there's some sort of double entendre going there or something? And, no, Dr. M, I call him Dr. M, Dr. Mercurial stopped by. This is a channel that I really get a kick out of. Marsha's Busted Nose. And there was some discussion about whether the monkeys, I don't know if it's a him or a her, I hope it's a she, is about the monkeys getting into the Hall of Fame. And Dr. M, Dr. Mercurial said, "It's a sucker's bet that the monkeys will ever get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. To add insult to injury, I think Neil Diamond finally got in after 20 nominations." Neil Diamond? Seriously, Neil Diamond? That kind of proves Jeff's right. Okay, who's Jeff's? Jeff. Since when is Neil Diamond a rock star? More like a lousy lounge singer. Then I have a new channel called Kong's Rival, who we got into a little discussion. It started with who would win in a fight, King Kong or Godzilla. Well, I remember watching those films when I was a kid. Movies. Do they even deserve to be called films? on the, you remember Saturday? They always had the science fiction horror kind of, thing on your local television. We could get Elvira from Los Angeles, but we also had a local on Channel 10. I don't know what it was called, Kogo back then, KGTV, something like that. Uh, Mona Lisa, very, very sexy female host. Oh, and on Channel 6, the independent station, we had a guy called Seymour Presents. He was this really like skinny guy who looked like his cheeks were punched in. And both of them were kind of done for laughs, And so I looked it up on Wikipedia, and in the movie, excuse me if I get them reversed, but King Kong versus Godzilla, Godzilla versus King Kong, Kong wins. And then somebody was saying, well, in this version he doesn't win, or whatever. Hey, that's what came up first in Wikipedia, okay? So then he asked me, would Kong beat the Cloverfield monster or whatever? I never saw that movie. Not that I really care to, but I prefer these matchup. King Kong versus Dracula. King Kong versus the werewolf. King Kong versus Frankenstein's monster. And then he said, well, of course, Dracula would have to be giant. I said, no. I want Kong to win. Plus, it'd be kind of fun. Like Dracula in his hand. Dracula's trying to bite his finger. Imagine. Kong turns into a vampire? Blood-sucking Kong? Or he could get bit by the werewolf and he turns into a giant, like, gorilla werewolf. Oh, man, I should be writing these down. Oh. Yeah, maybe this is better than talking about drama. But one thing I was thinking about, what the hell happened to Torp? I think he blocked me because I left some comment he didn't really enjoy. I don't think I was ever really mean to him. I just kept pointing out he makes up words that aren't in the dictionary. And sure, you can kind of make up words, but there wasn't any brilliance to it. It was just clearly like he was misusing English words that are already there, but adding the wrong suffix or whatever. I don't know, he's too easy. He could have defended himself. He could have said that's the exception that proves the rule. So, I think I still watch Shayna Hurdle. God, she made this video once about like hating people that whine. What's wrong with these people that whine? Come on, Shayna. That's like 80, 90, 99% of your videos about you whining about how you can't smoke, about how mean people in your restaurant. I mean, not to say there's anything, Andy Rooney makes a living at it. But, whining about people that whine? Did that occur to you? Oh, and Riley's in the hospital. And this time he's not fooling. You better not be fooling Riley. Of course he's pretending that he was shot, taking a bullet for the Boston biker boys or whatever. I don't know what they call the guys from Boston, something like that. And I don't even know if they're real bikers or not. But they're a nice group of guys, And I guess they let Riley join their group or something a while ago. But there was some sort of infighting. I think Kamikaze was part of them, and I don't understand where the falling out was. There's a guy I've never watched. I have watched Tennessee guy. He was a really sweet guy. He's always blessing God bless the troops, God bless this, God bless this tea. Real nice guy. And, which is funny. You always think of bikers as being really crude, really crude and mean. But he's such a sweet old guy. So, yeah, there's some kind of infighting going on there. Uncle from Hell, I never watched him, but I've heard people comment about him. Acrid Talks Back was making some videos shouting out to other people. I just thought I'd mention Acrid Talks Back. Who else? Napalm Blue left a comment on my video. I didn't know you still watch my videos. Your friend Wobblehead sure doesn't like me. Now that he found out about my politics. And what's that deal where you're pretending to be a Jew, I don't know. I guess they don't like Jews in the South, right? Weren't those like kids that went down there that were in the '60s that were signing up black voters? They got lynched and buried in a quarry or something like that. They were Jewish. Um, it's funny. It used to be the Hebrews, the Jewish community, was a really, really big help to the African American community, back then known as Negroes, and now there's sort of mostly what I've seen. African American community is basically, yeah, they either don't like the Jews or they've distanced themselves. Maybe Louis Farrakhan has something to do with that. I don't know. It's funny though. Politics and war make for strange bedfellows. I thought about writing that on a comment somewhere, but these days, where the kids are, bedfellows, ew. Hey, in case you don't know, gay used to mean happy. All right, I'm looking through the newspaper. Should I mention anybody else on my channel a little bit more? Does it tie into drama? And let's see. Yeah, Marsha's busted nose. I think she's cute. Let's see, what did she write here? I've noticed some guys are fixated on women's various body parts, not farts. Like my nose. Stop all objectification of women. I would have said stop objectifying women, but anyway, on this channel, or else I'll unsub. But why don't you guys do something cool with your spare time? Like help me get the Monkees into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I'd have a very practical way of expressing my appreciation if you did. I might even let you touch my nose. So you have a practical way of expressing your appreciation? Well, I guess I'm on board. I like the Monkees, even though it was like a whole fake thing, but you know. Later they kind of took it seriously. They tried to. Kong's Rivals saying some not so nice things. We have a new one called Transmorgified Ham Man. I guess he's speaking to me. Another weasel lie, twisting the truth around to make me look bad. Excuse me. I'm no flaming testicle tickler. I do admit I'm bi-curious and I'm only engaged in a few homosexual, get it? Homosexual experiences in high school. But that's no reason, Miss Bell, to call me out. And then at the very top, oh, this is a new one. Mr. Pimple Pops. Arrgh, stop making fun of me and Lisa. Goes into a bunch of gibberish. Oh, God, that icon looks pretty scary. Well, you know, forgive me for promoting hate, but some of it makes me laugh. Oh. Yeah, I'm involved in a war. I think I mentioned it. I've got haters on two fronts. You know, and who started with who? Hey, you know, there's always that. He started it. No, he started it. He started it. No, he started it. You started it when you were born. In one case, it was started on a misunderstanding. The other case was me thinking somebody was a nice person. He turned out to be an asshole. Admittedly. He's even on camera saying he is. So, yeah, I don't know. Let's look at one headline. Should I get back to YouTube stuff? I can't think of anything. But yeah, I can upload this video all in one shot. So for those of you that like it in bits and pieces, you just have to skip ahead through the boring parts. Yeah, usually it starts with, I talk about YouTube drama. I don't know, talk about the news, talk about personal stuff. Frankly, I'm sick of the news. I saw something on the Young Turks where Bill O'Reilly said something about people collecting unemployment, being bums or something, or not wanting to work or something. Yeah, that kind of touched close to home. But the interesting thing is he said that Jesus wouldn't be putting up with that. He's calling it being self-destructive or something like that. And the guy on the Young Turks said, well, who was more self-destructive than Jesus? You know, as far as like letting himself be taken and hung on a cross. And And then people say, they make the mistake of thinking the Lord helps those who help themselves is in the Bible. No, it's not. It's not. Jesus was basically about helping the sick and the poor. And it's funny how a lot of people that call themselves Christians are completely against that. Have you driven past one of those mega churches before? Oh man, you see those expensive cars in the parking lot? And when I was a little kid, the Pentecostal church I went to, the guy was so hurting for money, such a tiny congregation, this old church that was falling apart. He had to work a second job, driving the short bus for like different schools in the district. And you could turn this around any way you want, but probably just steal this clip. I was part of a special program when I was a kid, and oh man, this paper's really bleeding ink, man. Can't touch anything now. So I was trying to touch my trackpad, and there's a big splotch right there. What's going on with newspapers now? So anyway, yeah, they not all the time. They would send by a big bus for like I would get called out of class, and they would send us to the aquarium or see a play, and it was for these kids that they thought had a lot of potential. It just goes to show how wrong they can be. But anyway, they pulled me out of class. They'd run tests on me. They stuck me with these other kids. There was like a group of about 3 kids from my school that would get on this bus. And sometimes it was a smaller deal. They would put us on one of those buses that aren't quite as large. You know, the ones they usually put the special kids on. And they didn't call them special back then. No, we were the special ones. But yeah, what a pack of nerds. So yeah, it was run by this teacher called. We'd go to this one central school, and the teacher was called Mrs. Munzinger, and she was like this really toad-like of a woman who was really, really opinionated. And apparently her daughter, she had her like, raising her to be a genius or something. And my friend David called, there's a lot of Davids in school. I had to be known as David B. Because poor me, it was always like the other David Durand, he didn't need to be called David J. No, he was the more popular David, so I was known as David B. Always second best. But, you got your David A and you got your David B. Hey, but we try harder, right? So, yeah, my friend David used to call her instead of Mrs. Munzinger, he called her Mrs. Mudslinger. I still think that's funny. So, I'm going to have to get up and wash my hands if I'm going to touch anything. Yeah, excuse me, just a minute. Typical Fez night, right? Oh, the pain. What would a Fez night be without me getting up and walking off camera for a little bit, eh? Hey? Look at this. I'm making a big mess here. So, what else should I talk about? Yeah, that thing Bill Riley said. It's always coming from the right. If you're poor, it's your own fault. Well, how did that rule apply to everybody? This exception proves the rule. But how does it apply to people like in Bangladesh or Africa? I remember hearing somebody say that the reason why the American Indian didn't develop the wheel is because they were less intelligent. And no, that's not it. It wasn't necessary. Necessity is the mother of invention. They didn't really, because their culture, there wasn't really a need for it, At least that's my take on it. There's a thing that I heard, it's fairly new to me. It's called, it's not racism, it's racial realism. And what I say to that is, sure, let's be realistic, there are differences between the races. But once you start saying one race is better than another, that's when it becomes racism. Yeah, there's all kinds of code words and stuff. Did anybody ever meet a racist that called themselves a racist? I said, yeah, I'm a racist. I'm a racist and proud of it. It's pretty rare. I think maybe Tom Metzger said that, but I could be wrong. Tom Metzger is our local racist celebrity. He got really into he figured out a way. He would hold these heavy metal concerts, or I don't know if you call it heavy metal. It's a certain type of genre of music that skinheads enjoy. And he would hold these shows, and he would indoctrinate young men, young women into the skinhead movement. So I guess I'm talking a little bit of opinion, a little bit of politics. I see Louis Arrighi uploaded a video. Good for you, Louis. Keeping up the good fight. Sorry I haven't got around to watching it. Like I said, I lost the fire in my belly for that stuff. Oh, look who I see on here. Oh, this is big news. I remember the gay community was all like, oh, he's broken our promises. Obama, what has he done? And only a few months, or, not quite, we're, what are you, 2 years into the Obama presidency almost? And, or more? I don't know. I'm bad with time, really bad with time. Oh, speaking of time, ways of wasting time. I've become addicted to watching the new Doctor Who. I watched season 1 a long time ago, and I enjoyed it. And I had a hard time getting a hold of a season. Over there they call it series. I had a hard time of getting hold of series 2. Watched all of that. Now I'm in series 3. And I really, really enjoy it. And I just keep watching one after another after another. I can't stop. And I know when I get to the end of them, well, at least to the ones that are available, I'll be really bummed. But Senate strikes down. Senate strikes down. See, look, this is in reverse, and there's no way for me to flip it. I don't have the software to do that. Ooh, Apple sucks. I see Nebish going on there comparing Apple to Windows and stuff. I'm not going to get into that. All I know is I like my Mac. Okay, I do. I like Macintosh. I like Apple products. I can remember I get in this big debate with my friend Nick, who absolutely hated Apple. His father worked for IBM, and he called them Mac heads, or it's like a cult to him. And I remember getting in this big discussion when the iPod first came out, and I was kind of saying, look, I didn't have an iPod, but I said I've read about it. I've looked at all the articles written comparing them with other things, and I said, oh, there's plenty of MP3 players out there that are way better than Apple. And I said, well, could be, but the thing about the iPod, it's very intuitive and it's easy to use, and which is like a lot of Apple products. It's not about the power or all the games you can play, but just for regular folk. And it used to be really, really highly used in the arts. Now Nebish is pointing out that there's all these CAD programs and stuff, but that's not the same as the arts. Now I understand it's changed. Windows has moved away from industrial and office and business applications, and have tried to, or have gone that direction, and there's more stuff available for creativity. But in the beginning, it wasn't that way. No, you walk into any place where they were doing computer graphics, it was first, from my understanding, Apple, and then it was Linux. Not that I know anything about Linux. My brother worked for that a little bit. He said it's just kind of funky, but it said Senate strikes down, don't ask. So there you go. The gay community was all like saying, where's our promise on that? Where's our promise fulfilled? Of course, Obama wasn't able to keep his promise on raising taxes on the rich, but that's the way it goes. So that's the way it goes. But that's a pretty neat deal. I think I'm for that. Look, the military, not that I'm all pro-military, but there's an interesting thing about the military, is that social change happens almost in the military first. First, I met an old black gentleman that was in World War II, and he had to stay in the motor pool. He wasn't allowed to fight. But you've heard the story of the Tuskegee Airmen, and then there was that regiment of black soldiers during a Civil War. And mostly, though, blacks got relegated to digging latrines or something really awful, or just driving a truck. But they were making inroads more than were happening in regular society, because the military is all about it's breaking down your individualism and making you a cohesive force. Hence the uniforms are all the same, and you follow orders, and all that. And sure, I think it's kind of dehumanizing in some ways, but it's essential. That's how you fight. You have to be able to do things without really thinking about it. And must be really. I understand it's a real tough process, boot camp, but. The military is a big instrument in social change. I think if you even look at the Wicca thing, remember the Wiccans were fighting to have their graves marked with the Wiccan symbol? They probably got more recognition in the military than they do in mainstream society. And of course, the women, I think there was some changes there. There was like women were, what was it, the WACS, Women's Army Corps, and other ones. I don't remember. I think they were called WAVES, the women in the Navy. But and World War II was a big change for a lot of that. Brought a lot of social change. I remember watching a documentary. It was pretty interesting about gays in this country. From all over the country, men from small towns, women from small towns, went into the military. And when they got out of the military, they didn't move back to Kansas. And a lot of them, it wasn't because they were gay, but there was a tendency. Oh, and during the war, there was a shortage of men. A lot of women started hanging out together. There's films of women dancing together and stuff. And not all of them were gay, but, it made it a little easier. Kind of, it was more socially acceptable to be dancing with each other. And then these men who probably met maybe other gay men in the military, or maybe not, but they had their chance to leave that little small town, and they could go to the big cities like New York, and ended up in San Francisco too. So that sort of change after World War II was this migration of individual gay people going and hanging out with other gays. I found that interesting. World War II brought in a lot of social change. So here we go. Maybe finally the end of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. One of the sad things that happened with that is that there were a lot of translators that could speak Farsi, or the Arabic languages, or the Middle Eastern languages, and we could have used them, really, but they were kicked out because of they were found out to be gay. Anyway, don't you think that was stupid? I wonder if those people that were kicked out are going to be let back in if they want to come back in. I haven't read the story yet, but I did read the headline. Well, I guess that's it. I'm going on almost 40 minutes. One thing about using this system is I can see how long it took, but everything's reversed. You know what you could do is like play it on your monitor, your screen, and hold it up to a mirror. I thought about doing that. I thought about getting a large mirror, setting it up, and then bouncing it off the mirror to like reverse the image. Nah. All right, everybody. Have a great week. Thank you for watching Citizen Kong on the Royal Order of the Fez channel. Hopefully we'll get this being able to post long videos on Citizen Kong. And so thank you for watching Fez of One. Have a great week. Cheers. Now I turn this damn thing off.